What's up, guys? Alex here, Great Whale Investing. Today we're going to be talking about my journey through investing and how I started off thinking about investing versus now. How do I think about it now? So, I've been playing Magic for about 15 years now, and when I started playing, I didn't really view Magic as an investment. I viewed it as a hobby, something I enjoyed to do for fun. So I would, build pet decks. And the first couple of years when I started playing, I didn't really like playing too many tournaments. Like I went to like the local card store and I played in a few events, but I never really saw like competitive as like something that interested me. And I spent the first like year or two just trading. I would just trade for cards. I would like get cards and I would trade them, and I would read my Scry or Inquest magazine, and I would like look at the prices. This is in the mid to late 2000s period, and I would see the cards and I would memorize them. I would memorize what prices they were. And I'd go to events and I would trade. And people didn't have like smartphones back then, and I'm showing the boomer in me, but like you just didn't have the internet on your phone. There wasn't even a tcgplayer.com you can go check at home. You kind of had to memorize what was in the Inquest or the Scry, or a little bit later like what StarCityGames.com offered that for. So I would go to events and I would trade, and I would try and get good deals in my favor, and I would trade for things that I just wanted to play with. Just didn't really think of anything regarding reserve list. Didn't think of anything regarding how old a card is or how hard it is to get. I remember looking on eBay. eBay was a place that I frequently bought the cards from. Like bought Dual Lands, Goblin Welders, Opalescences, Replenish. It was my first deck I played at a Legacy tournament. It was called Type 1.5 at the time, and at the local card store I played a Replenish deck. And I remember like going on eBay and using like all my allowance money on a playset of Force of Wills, and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe how much money I just blew. I blew like $50 on these Force of Wills, like total. I was like, oh my god. It was if you owned Force of Wills, you were cool. Okay, you were cool if you had Force of Wills. So I spent at the time a lot of money. I remember buying a playset of Volcanic Islands on eBay. I remember like the bidding. There were two sets of them. First of all, they were revised Volcanics. I remember beta ones were like $75 to $100 each at the time, and I was like, oh my god, I can't afford a beta one. Like it's almost like $100. Maybe they were like 100. They weren't more than that though. Like they were like in that range, and like regular ones were like 15 to 20 each. And I was just like, nope, can't afford beta. Nope, no way. So I remember bidding on like two sets of revised ones. I'm like, okay, I'm bound to win one of these, and I bid like $60 on one set and like $65 on another set of LP Volcanic Islands. And I remember coming home that day checking eBay. You couldn't check it on your phone. You didn't get notifications on eBay. I remember coming home and looking at the eBay, and like I had won them both, and I was like, oh no, why do I need 8 Volcanic Islands? Holy fuck. Like this is terrible, like. So I quickly had to make sure that I like I think I sold I think I sold 4 though. I don't remember now. I know I kept 4, but I think I sold the other 4 back at some point, or traded them. I think I traded them over the years. It just, they weren't seen as what they are today. They weren't seen as like big high commodities. Like not many people had them because like $15 dual lands were expensive. That wasn't like a cheap thing. Nowadays you look at $15, you're like, oh, that's like a shock land, But back then, if you had a dual land, it was expensive. I remember when Ravnica dropped, Ravnica City of Guilds, Sacred Foundry came out. Sacred Foundry was more expensive than Plateau. Like, think about that for a second. Sacred Foundry on release date was worth more than Plateau. Okay, so you just to give you to date myself. I remember one of the first Star City Games tournaments I wanted to play in. I got to the site and I didn't bring cash on me, and I believe for this one you needed cash to enter. So it was $25 to enter the SCGs. That's truly a sign of age, right? $25 to enter the SCG Open, and I didn't have it. I only had a card on me. So they're like, oh, well, there's an ATM machine down the hall or whatever. You can just, go to the ATM and take out cash. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I'm like, ugh, I don't want to go all the way down the hall. I'm going to pay like $4 or $5 in this ATM fees. It's gonna be like just annoying $30 to enter the event. I'm just gonna trade in a car. Like go to open my binder up. I'm like a Tundra. Okay, go to the dealer booth. Like, how much for this Tundra? They're like, oh, give you $25 for it. I'm like, hey, bingo, let's go. I just traded the Tundra for $25. I was like pretty close to like full value. I mean, at that time, I think Tundra was like up to $40 or something. It was certainly excited that I didn't have to go to the ATM. Big rip. So it wasn't really investing. So when I think of how I thought about investing then versus now, it just wasn't a thing. There wasn't any investing. It was just magic, and I just thought of magic. Now, over the years, as prices go up, things get a little crazier. I remember at the M10 pre-release, I had opened Honor of the Pure and a foil Honor of the Pure, which was like the hot card at the pre-release. This was at Neutral Ground in New York. They had their second location at this point. They were doing pre-releases. And I remember it was like a boxing ring, a boxing arena. It was a wild time. It was just pre-release while there was like these boxing rings. It was kind of metaphoric in a way. So I remember opening these, and I didn't want them because I was going to play fairies in standard. I wasn't going to play the Kithkin deck, so I didn't need the Honor of the Pures. So what did I do? I went to some guy who's trading cards, and I'm like, hey, look what I pulled. He's like, oh, wow, you got Honor of the Pure? All right, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I got a foil. I'm like, oh, you got a foil Honor of the Pure? Whoa. At that time, like the Honor of the Pure like release date was like $15, and the foil one was like $25. We're looking at like it was like $40 or $45 for the two of them. It was like crazy. It was like the best pre-release of my life, like money wise, like what I had opened. I was like, oh, I got to open $45 of cards. What? And I looked through his binder. He's like, all right, look, what do you want? And I was looking through the pages, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, it was an English Tabernacle. Okay, it was LP. Not much play on it. English, the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale from Legends. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, how much is that? Like, I don't have one of those. Like, I kind of want it for my cube. This time I was starting to build my cube. It's like, oh, I want, like $30. In my head, I was like, yeah, I think that's what the price is. Sounds about right, $30. Yeah, I guess that's like worth the entire Honor of the Pure. All right, you got something else? I want to give you them both. You got something else to throw in? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how much for this Taiga? It was just like a revised Taiga, It's like, $15. I'm like, 30 for 15, 45. Okay, deal. Like, it's a trade. Like, yeah, okay. He's like, yep, that adds up to me. So I traded an M10 Honor of the Pure and an M10 foil Honor of the Pure for the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale and a Taiga. And it was a fair trade. Nobody got ripped off. It was a fair trade. So, I mean, to say that there wasn't really discussion or talk of the reserve list would be an understatement. And many people think nowadays that if they had gone back in time, they would have bought them all. They would have bought all the Arabian Nights boxes. They would have bought all the Tabernacles and all the dual lands. $20 duels, I would have bought them all. Like, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have, because people didn't think that way back then. And, I'm lucky I have a lot of the cards I have today just because I hoarded them. Because I didn't sell. Because I never put myself in a situation where I needed to sell them, or was lucky that I never needed to sell them, and it just never crossed my mind to sell them. Like, I never thought, hey, you know what I'd rather have than this Underground Sea? $50. You know what I'd rather have than this Underground Sea? $100, $200, $300, and here we are today. It's like, would I rather have an Underground Sea or $800? And I think I'd rather have the Underground Sea. Like, and there's a lot of people in that boat, and not just with that, because, at the time I was a kid, I couldn't really afford much. I bought a couple of revised dual lands, but the people back then bought beta dual lands, and they're even better situated now. So it's just it really is, it's a crazy matter of perspective now looking back. But so now fast forward to 2020, 2021, the spit hit the fan. Like the Magic cards are going bananas. They're going ballistic. They're going crazy. I'm creating a YouTube investing channel because I just have so much to say, and there's not even enough, like, I can't tell the people around me. I'm going to drive them fucking crazy. But I have so much to talk about regarding finance and regarding investing in the reserve list, investing in any other Magic card. It's kind of crazy now. It's like everything is an investment for me. I think about what the difference is between the card. The card is the same. It was the same Taiga in, late 2000s. It's the same Taiga in the 2010s. It's the same Taiga in 2020. So it's only the price. Like it only taps for red or green. Nothing came out that made Taiga broken. Like, it's just the same card. So why is it so ridiculously expensive? And I mean, it's a deep question, and I'm going to talk about that on my channel a lot. Why are they expensive? Why do they still have room to grow? They all do, I promise. If TLDR, they all have room to grow. All these cards are too cheap. And I'm not saying you should go out and buy them all, or like, oh yeah, put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go buy every Taiga in the world. It's not like that. It's, although if I had a bunch of money, maybe I would. So I think that investing in Magic is still not mainstream. I still don't think we've had our Logan Paul moment, as I call it, like where Pokemon boomed in the last year because of Logan Paul's exposure to it. We haven't had our Logan Paul yet. We haven't had that mainstream boom yet. We've gotten to the point where the people who are nostalgic and played back in 1993, 94, that played with the old ABU cards, Four Horsemen, they're getting older now. They're getting to the point where they have disposable income. And what are they going to do? They're going to buy their memories. They're going to buy their childhood. They're going to buy and relive those times that they experienced. And you're going to have a lot more people these days that are less interested in money. Like, that's weird to say, right? Like, they're just not interested in money as much as they used to be. And people want the cards. And people realize that when it comes to cards, especially graded ones or collectible ones or one-of-a-kind ones, specialty cards, test print cards, original artwork, when it comes to these things in Magic, there's a finite amount, sometimes one-of-a-kind. And when you trade that away and get money, there's always more money. You can always get more money. You can always work harder. Whether it's working at the grocery store or working for a hedge fund, you can always make more money, but you can't always get more of one of these kinds of assets. And when it comes to, investing, people think a lot of Magic like a stock. And that's something I really want to kind of dispel from people. One of the most popular MTG finance sites, one that I check every single day, is mtgstocks.com. And it shows you the chart. Like, you can look at charts and you click at graphs, the price history of the card. It shows you in a list, like what percentages cards went up, the foils, the market price, the European price, all these things. It's great. It's a great site, and I recommend it. But I think people are going to have to start learning, especially when it comes to Magic cards with a fixed supply, that they're not actually stocks. They are more like gold or Bitcoin, something that is scarce. Okay, you can't make more Grim Monoliths. It's not going to happen. You can't make more Beta Wrath of Gods. So you can't treat it like a stock. You can't treat it like that. Because a stock, you can split a stock, you can make more, a new company can come along. But it doesn't matter how many Wrath of Gods they print, you don't have more Beta and Alpha Wrath of Gods. It's not even on the reserve list. So what you have is a new way that people are thinking about Magic cards. They're fun to play with. They have utility. They have durability. The cardstock quality from the early 90s is magnificent. It's wonderful. I don't think they've made better quality trading cards since then. And it's honestly like they're like museum pieces almost. Like if you have a graded 10 card, it's like a museum piece. It's like almost like an artwork at that point. It's completely separated from how the game is doing or what are Hasbro's quarterly earning. It doesn't matter because you have something else that's detached from that. It's detached from money. It's its own thing at that point. And I think one of the goals of this channel is going to be to teach people, Magic players and non-Magic players, that there's real value, store value. There's a promise that the cards will go up in price. Maybe slowly, maybe, not at a rate that rivals other things, but they will go up. It's a fixed supply, and it's not going anywhere. So, yeah, thank you for... I want to know what your guys' opinions are on that. What do you think is the future of Magic prices? How do you invest, and how did you used to invest? Did you at all when it came to Magic cards? I would really like to know. So, thanks for watching.